During my birthday party, my daughter handed me a brochure for a retirement home and announced, "We're tired of you. This is your new home." Imagine the shock. A celebration turned into betrayal, and a loving father became a burden. But the next day, when I packed my bags and said I would no longer pay the bills, she regretted it. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The music stopped. Madison's hand slammed down on the speaker, and the sudden silence crashed through the living room like glass shattering. I froze, cake knife hovering above the frosting, my smile still plastered across my face. 20 guests turned toward her, conversations dying mid-sentence. "Dad, we need to talk," her voice cut clean through the warmth. "Now, in front of everyone, so there's no misunderstanding." The knife felt heavy. I lowered it slowly, confusion rippling through my chest. My daughter stood rigid near the kitchen archway, Brian beside her with his arms crossed. Something glossy slid across the table. A brochure, its edges catching the candlelight as it stopped against my plate. Sunset Pines Senior Living stared up at me in elegant script. "We've made arrangements for you," Madison continued. Her words came measured, rehearsed. "This house doesn't have room for 3 adults anymore. Brian needs a home office. The kids need more space. You've had a good run here, but it's time to move on." My chest tightened. The room tilted slightly, candles swimming in my vision. Someone dropped a fork. The clatter echoed too loud. "We've put a deposit down," Brian added, gesturing at the brochure like he was presenting a gift. "Nice place. Lots of activities. They've got bingo on Thursdays." I tried to speak. Nothing came out. "You can pack tomorrow morning," Madison said. "We'll help you move your things by noon. The room's ready for you. They're expecting you Monday." Sarah Johnson shot to her feet, chair scraping. "Madison, this is your father's birthday. You can't just—" "This is a family matter, Sarah." Brian's tone dismissed her like she was a stranger who'd wandered in off the street. "Family?" Sarah's voice shook. "James gave up everything for you. His house, his savings." "Our house now," Madison interrupted. She wouldn't look at me, just kept her eyes fixed somewhere over my shoulder. "Dad's been living here free for 5 years. We've provided him a roof, food, everything. He should be grateful we found such a nice facility." Free. The word hit like a fist. Guests were standing now, grabbing coats, mumbling awkward goodbyes. No one met my eyes. Mrs. Patterson touched my shoulder as she passed, her hand trembling. The Johnsons slipped out without a word. Within minutes, the living room emptied like someone had pulled a fire alarm. I stared at the brochure. Smiling elderly faces beamed up at me from glossy pages. People in wheelchairs, people playing cards, people who'd run out of options. The address label already had my name printed on it. James Miller, room 7B. "Dad?" Madison's voice had shifted, impatient now. "Did you hear me?" The paper crinkled between my fingers. My birthday cake sat abandoned. 63 candles melted into crooked stubs, wax pooling on the frosting. Small wisps of smoke rose from the blackened wicks. "I heard you." "Good." She turned toward the kitchen, Brian following. Their footsteps faded into the next room, where I heard cabinet doors opening. Madison's voice drifted back, casual now. "We should repaint it before he leaves. That beige is depressing." Sarah lingered by the door, tissues clutched in her hand. "James, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say." "It's all right." My voice came out flat, distant. "You should go. If you need anything—" "Thank you, Sarah." The door closed softly behind her. Her car started in the driveway, headlights sweeping across the window before disappearing down the street. I stood there holding the brochure, alone in my living room surrounded by abandoned plates and half-empty glasses. Behind me, Madison's laughter carried from the kitchen, bright and relieved, like she'd just finished an unpleasant chore. Talking about paint colors for my room, as if I were already gone. The words filtered through the archway where Madison and Brian huddled over the kitchen counter, pointing at color swatches. I hadn't moved. The brochure still bent between my fingers, corners digging into my palms. The front door opened again. Sarah's face appeared, tear-stained. "James, I can come back tomorrow. Help you pack, or—" "He doesn't need your help." Madison's voice snapped from the kitchen. "This is family business." Sarah looked at me, searching for something. I managed a small nod. She pressed her lips together, squeezed my hand once, then left. The door clicked shut with finality. Now I was truly alone with them. Why? I turned toward the kitchen, my legs unsteady. Why like this? Why tonight? Madison spun around, her expression hard. Because you wouldn't have listened otherwise. You'd have argued, made excuses. This way it's done. Done? I gripped the doorframe. You ambushed me at my birthday party. Oh, please. She slammed a cabinet shut. You've been living here free for 5 years, eating our food, using our electricity. You're 63, Dad. Most people your age have their own place. Brian appeared behind her with a beer, settling into a chair at the kitchen table like he owned it. He probably thought he did. Free? The word stuck in my throat. Mitty, I pay the mortgage. Our mortgage, she corrected, on our house. I pay $2,700 a month. My voice rose despite myself. Every month for 5 years. Because you wanted to help your daughter. Madison crossed her arms. That was your choice. Your duty as a father. My duty? I stared at her, searching for any trace of the little girl I'd raised. I sold my house, everything your mother and I built. Every penny went to you. And we let you live here in return. She said it like she believed it. Room and board, Dad. That's worth something. My hand found the counter, gripping it to stay upright. The kitchen spun slightly. I'd stood in this exact spot thousands of times, cooking breakfast for the kids, fixing broken cabinets, replacing the garbage disposal when it died. I bought that garbage disposal, I said, almost to myself, and the new water heater, and the fence repair after the storm. Minor maintenance. Brian took a long drink of beer. Besides, I need an office. Been waiting long enough. Your room's perfect. Good light, quiet. Already measured it. The casual cruelty of it hit harder than Madison's words. He'd been planning this, measuring my room while I slept in it. I moved deeper into the kitchen, needing water. My hands fumbled with a glass, shaking too much to hold it steady under the faucet. Water splashed over the rim. You don't understand. I set the glass down before I dropped it. When I sold my house, mine and your mother's house, I got $180,000. That was our down payment. For this house. In my name. In your name because my credit was bad, Madison shot back. From the divorce. From Mark's bankruptcy. You knew I couldn't qualify. I knew you needed help, my voice cracked. You were crying, Meddy. You said you'd lose the kids if you couldn't provide a stable home. You said... I said what I needed to say. Her face flushed. And you did what fathers are supposed to do. You helped. That doesn't give you the right to live here forever like some kind of tenant. Tenant? I couldn't breathe properly. I've paid over $160,000 in mortgage alone, plus electric, $300 a month, water, $200, internet, groceries, everything. Brian snorted. You ate the groceries too, old man. Can't claim that as a gift. I bought the groceries. My hand slammed on the counter, surprising us both. Every week, every single week. I drive to Costco, I fill the cart, I pay at checkout. When have either of you bought groceries? Silence stretched between us. Madison's jaw worked, but no words came. The electric bill, I continued, voice shaking. $18,000 over 5 years. Water, $12,000. Internet, $9,000. Groceries, at least $36,000. Home repairs, $8,000. School supplies, birthday gifts for Emma and Ethan, another $5,000. I'd kept track, every receipt, every payment, carefully recorded in my notebook. $250,000, $250,000. That was your choice, Madison finally said. Nobody forced you. You're right, my chest ached. Real physical pain. Nobody forced me. Your mother died, and you needed help, and I chose to give everything I had. Every penny from the house she and I bought together. Every dollar from my pension. I chose to help you. Mom would have wanted you to help. Madison's voice turned sharp, weaponizing Eleanor's memory. She'd want you to give us this space now. Let us live our lives without you hovering. Something inside me cracked. Don't. My voice came out low, dangerous. Don't use your mother to justify this. Brian stood, moving closer. Look, James, we're trying to be nice about this. We found you a good place. They've got nurses, activities, people your age. You should be thanking us. I backed against the counter. Not from fear, but from sheer exhaustion. My legs barely held me. Tomorrow morning, Madison said, finality in every word. 10 o'clock. Pack your personal items, clothes, Books, whatever fits in a suitcase. We'll drive you over Monday. What about my furniture? The question came out hollow. My desk? My books? Our house, she repeated. Our decision. The furniture stays. Above us, footsteps creaked across the ceiling, Emma and Ethan running between rooms, laughing. They had no idea their grandfather was being erased from their lives. Brian headed toward the stairs. I'll start clearing out your room tonight. Get measurements for the desk I'm ordering. Madison turned away, dismissing me with a gesture. Best get some sleep, Dad. Long day tomorrow. I stood there in the kitchen I'd maintained for 5 years, surrounded by appliances I'd purchased, gripping a counter I'd refinished. They walked away like I was already gone. My hands still trembled. I looked down at them, weathered, spotted with age. Eleanor's wedding ring still on my finger after 5 years of widowhood. I needed to sit down, to think, to figure out what had just happened. Behind me, Brian's footsteps echoed overhead, already rearranging my room. I walked toward the hallway, each step requiring concentration. The house felt different now, hostile, foreign. Sounds carried from upstairs, furniture scraping, Brian's satisfied grunt as he moved things around. Madison's voice drifted down. Make sure you pack everything tonight, Dad. Don't want to rush in the morning. I reached my bedroom door at the end of the hall. My hand found the knob, cool metal against my palm. I turned the handle slowly. The door opened to darkness. I flicked the light switch. The small lamp on my nightstand glowed to life, illuminating the 10 by 12 room that had become my entire world. Single bed against one wall, modest desk with my old laptop, closet barely big enough for my few clothes, unpacked boxes still stacked in the corner. 5 years later, I'd never quite settled in. I closed the door, locked it. The click felt final. Overhead, Brian's footsteps continued their territorial march, dragging furniture, pacing, claiming space that was never his. I sat on the bed's edge, head in my hands. My chest heaved once, twice. Then the tears came, the first since Eleanor died. The nightstand drawer stuck slightly when I pulled it open. Inside, beneath old receipts and reading glasses, lay the photo album, brown leather worn at the corners, Eleanor's handwriting on the spine. Our life. I opened it with trembling fingers. Wedding day. Eleanor in her simple white dress, holding daisies because we couldn't afford roses. My young face grinning beside her, believing the world was full of possibility. Madison at 7, gap-toothed and pigtailed, squeezed between us at the county fair. Her tiny hands gripped ours, absolute trust in her eyes. Madison's first wedding, before Mark, before the bankruptcy. I'd walked her down the aisle in my best suit. She'd whispered, "Thanks for everything, Dad," and I'd believed she meant it. The last page showed Eleanor near the end. Thin, brave smile, barely masking the terminal cancer eating through her. 3 days before she died. Eleanor, if you could see this. The hospital room came back, beeping monitors, antiseptic smell, her fragile hand in mine. "Promise me," she'd whispered. "Promise you'll take care of Madison." "Always," I'd said. I kept that promise too well, didn't I? I flipped back to earlier photos. Madison crying on our couch after the divorce, bankruptcy papers scattered around her. "Dad, I can't get approved for a mortgage. My credit is ruined. I'll lose the kids if we don't have a stable home." That's when I'd made the decision. Sold the house, our house, Eleanor's and mine. 30 years of memories, paid off, worth $180,000. Every penny went to Madison's down payment. You'd understand, wouldn't you, Eleanor? She needed help. But would Eleanor understand this? Her daughter throwing me out like garbage? I set the album aside and opened my laptop. The old machine whirred to life slowly, screen glowing in the dim room. I navigated to my spreadsheet, the one I'd maintained meticulously, every expense documented. Column by column, the numbers told their story. Mortgage, $2,700 month, 60 months, $162,000. Electric, $300 month, 60 months, $18,000. Water, $200 month, 60 months, $12,000. Internet, $150 month, 60 months, $9,000. Groceries, averaging $600 month, $36,000 are home repairs, $8,000 are kids' expenses, $5,000 total, approximately $250,000, $250,000. Over 5 years. Free, she called it. Living free. I pulled my paper notebook from the drawer. pages filled with handwritten records, receipts taped in, every transaction documented like evidence. Because some part of me had known. Some part of me had been keeping score. Not keeping score, Eleanor, just remembering, making sure I remembered. I remembered the bank office 5 years ago. Madison beside me, nervous, chewing her thumbnail. The loan officer had reviewed her application, frowning. We'll need the primary borrower to have better credit. These late payments. The bankruptcy. Madison's eyes had pleaded. Please, Dad. Please. I'd signed. Became the sole borrower. My name. Only my name. I pulled up my banking app on the laptop. Mortgage autopay scheduled for April 1st. $2,700. Electric bill scheduled for March 20th. $300. My finger hovered over the screen. From above, Brian's voice carried through the ceiling. Yeah, this'll be perfect. Desktop against that wall. Filing cabinet in the corner. Madison responded, Make sure the old furniture goes to storage. We'll sort through it later. The old furniture. My furniture. In my room. In my house. Wait. I opened a new browser tab. Pulled up the county records I'd bookmarked years ago. Property deed. 2847 Maple Street, Spokane, Washington. Owner. James Robert Miller. Sole owner. Not joint tenancy. Not Madison's name anywhere. Just mine. My heart pounded differently now, not from fear, from realization. The mortgage, my name, only my name, the house deed. My name, only my name. The down payment, $180,000 from my house sale, my money. 5 years of payments, every single one from my account, my money. They think they can throw me out of my own house. I pulled the suitcase from under the bed, Eleanor's old luggage, scuffed and familiar, opened it on the floor but didn't pack. Instead, I walked to my closet, looking at my modest belongings with new eyes. My small room versus their spacious master bedroom. My few clothes versus their bulging closets. My sacrifice versus their entitlement. My house versus their assumption. I returned to the desk, pulled open the locked drawer. Inside, carefully filed. Original mortgage documents. My signature. My name. House deed. Recorded with the county, my name. Bank statements, 5 years' worth. Every payment from my account. Original sale documents from my old house. My house. Eleanor's and mine. I stacked them carefully in my laptop bag. I'm sorry, Eleanor. I know I promised. But I can't let them do this. Brian's voice drifted down again. We should get a bigger desk. Really make this a professional space. Madison laughed. Whatever you want. It's ours now. No, it wasn't. I looked at Eleanor's photo one last time. Her brave smile, her kind eyes. She'd have understood. She'd have told me to stand up for myself. She'd spent our whole marriage telling me I was too soft, too giving. Time to stop being soft. I sat at the desk, fingers on keyboard. Opened my email, started typing. Robert Clark, old friend from my banking days. Retired now, but he'd practiced real estate law for 30 years. Subject, urgent legal question. The words flowed easier than I expected. I had documents to gather, records to organize, a phone call to make in the morning, to an old friend who happened to be a lawyer. Tomorrow they expected me to pack, to leave quietly, to disappear into Sunset Pines room 7B, grateful for their generosity. Tomorrow I had very different plans. Sleep never came. Not really. I'd close the laptop around 2 in the morning, but my mind kept spinning through numbers, through legal possibilities, through 5 years of receipts. The ceiling became a screen where I projected every conversation, every payment, every moment that had led me to this locked bedroom door. Gray light crept through the window. 6:30. I stood slowly, joints protesting, and moved to the closet. The small safe sat on the floor behind my winter coats, the one I'd installed 3 years ago, the combination only I knew. My fingers worked the dial. 142763. Eleanor's birthday, inside, the house deed, original mortgage papers, bank statements bundled by year. I'd kept everything. Some instinct had told me to preserve proof, even when I'd had no reason to doubt my daughter. I transferred the documents to my jacket's inner pocket, folded carefully. The weight felt significant, not just paper, but power. Upstairs, Brian's alarm blared. Footsteps crossed overhead. The shower started, pipes groaning. Morning routines in my house, happening without me. By 8:45, I couldn't delay any longer. I descended the stairs slowly, gripping the railing, exhaustion making each step deliberate. The kitchen hummed with normalcy. Madison stood at the stove, flipping pancakes, humming something cheerful. Brian scrolled through his phone at the table. Emma and Ethan sat with syrup-sticky faces, giggling over something. A perfect family scene. One that didn't include me. "Dad!" Madison's voice came too bright, too practiced. "There you are. I made you a short list of what you can take. Just the essentials, obviously. Clothes, toiletries, your medications. The furniture stays. It came with the house." "My books?" Brian looked up from his phone. "We'll need the shelf space. Besides, when was the last time you actually read any of them?" "Last week." I'd been reading Eleanor's favorite novel again, trying to feel close to her. Emma suddenly noticed me. She jumped from her chair, syrup-sticky hands reaching. "Grandpa!" Her small arms wrapped around my waist. The simple trust in her hug cracked something inside my chest. "Emma, come here." Madison's hand closed on her daughter's shoulder, pulling her back. "Grandpa needs to finish packing." "But why is he leaving?" Ethan's lower lip trembled. "Did we do something bad?" "Of course not, sweetie." Brian's tone turned patronizing. "Grandpa's just getting old. He needs to be somewhere with nurses and people who can help him. It's better for everyone." The lie settled between us like poison. Emma started crying. "I don't want Grandpa to go." "Enough!" Madison's voice sharpened. "Both of you upstairs, now." I wanted to say something, to tell them I loved them, that this wasn't about them. But Madison's glare warned me off. Any comfort I offered would be contradicted, twisted, used against me. The children trudged upstairs, Emma's sobs echoing down the hallway. I turned and walked back to my room without a word. 9 o'clock. 1 hour until they expected me gone. Eleanor's suitcase came out of the closet, the one she'd used on our last vacation together, to the coast, before the cancer diagnosis. I laid it open on the bed, 3 shirts, 2 pairs of pants, underwear, socks, toiletries from the bathroom, the photo of Eleanor from my nightstand. That was essential. My laptop, charger, the small notebook where I'd tracked every expense, those went in my backpack. Everything else? Let them have it. The books I'd collected over decades, the desk where I'd paid their bills, the bed I'd slept in while they plotted my removal. Material things. That's all they were. Overhead, furniture scraped across the floor. Brian was already moving into what he thought was his new office, already erasing me from the space. I pulled out my phone, opening the camera. Photo of the small room. Photo of the sparse closet. Photo of the minimal possessions they'd allowed me. Evidence of how little space I'd occupied in my own house. 9:45. I zipped the suitcase closed, shouldered the backpack. My hand automatically went to my jacket pocket, feeling the documents safe inside. Everything that mattered was there. Proof of ownership, proof of payment, proof of betrayal. I walked to the door, opened it, moved down the hallway one last time. Madison waited by the front entrance, checking her watch. Brian lounged on the couch in the living room, looking supremely satisfied. "Finally!" Madison reached for the doorknob. "I'll drive you over." "Before I go," I said, setting the suitcase down, "there's something we need to discuss." Her hand dropped. "Dad, we've talked about this. Everything's arranged. The mortgage payment, the bills." I straightened my jacket, feeling the documents shift against my chest. "I won't be paying them anymore." Silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. Then Brian laughed, head thrown back, genuine amusement. "Right. Sure you won't." Madison's smile turned pitying. "Dad, don't be ridiculous. You can't just stop paying. Where would we live?" I pulled out my phone, opened the banking app, the screen already loaded to the automatic payments page, turned it so they could see clearly. Mortgage, $2,700 monthly, canceled. My finger hovered over the screen. Madison reached for the phone. "Dad, stop this nonsense." I pulled back, tapped the confirmation. The word canceled appeared in red. "You can't survive without us." Brian stood, his casual confidence faltering. "You're 63. No job. Where exactly do you think you'll go?" "Good luck with the April payment." I picked up my suitcase, gripped the handle firmly. "Time for me to leave." I opened the door myself. March morning air rushed in, cold and sharp. Freedom smelled like spring. Dad! Madison's voice rose behind me. Wait! You can't just... I stepped onto the porch. The door closed behind me with a soft click. Brian's laughter erupted before the door had fully closed, loud, derisive, echoing into the street where I stood on the porch. He thinks he's serious, Brian's voice carried through the walls. Madison's response came calmer, almost amused. He'll be back by dinner time begging. Where's he going to go? He has no one. I walked down the driveway, measured steps, not hurrying, dignity intact despite their mockery. Behind me, the door flew open. Dad! Madison stood on the porch in her slippers, no coat. You can't just leave. This is insane. I didn't turn around, reached the sidewalk, pulled out my phone, opened the taxi app. Estimated arrival, 6 minutes. Dad, listen to me. I'm listening. I stopped, faced her, but kept my distance. You told me to leave. You gave me a list of what I could take. You've made arrangements for my new life. So here I am, Madison, leaving. But the mortgage, her voice climbed higher. You can't just stop paying. Actually, I can. My thumb moved across the phone screen. 3 more taps. Electric bill, canceled. Water bill, canceled. Internet, canceled. Each word landed like a stone in still water. Mrs. Chen's curtain moved in the house next door. Mr. Patterson stepped onto his porch across the street, coffee mug in hand, watching. You're being childish. Madison's face flushed. This is our home. Your home, I corrected gently. You've made that very clear. A silver Toyota Camry turned onto our street. Rajesh, according to the name on the app. Madison ran down the driveway, still in slippers, bathrobe flapping open over her pajamas. Stop! You're making a scene! The taxi pulled to the curb. I opened the back door, loaded my suitcase. Dad, please! She reached for my arm. I moved away, not roughly, just deliberately. Got in the back seat, closed the door. Where to, sir? The driver, Rajesh, according to his ID card hanging from the rearview mirror, glanced at me with kind, tired eyes. Riverside Inn, please. Madison pressed against the window, breath fogging the glass. Brian appeared in the doorway behind her, finally realizing this wasn't a bluff. The taxi pulled away. I watched through the back window as Madison stood frozen in the middle of the street, Brian joining her, both of them staring after the car. Neighbors on their porches, witnesses to the scene. 5 years ago, I'd driven up that same street with everything I owned, ready to help my daughter start fresh. Now I was leaving with 1 suitcase and a backpack, but this time I was leaving on my terms. Family troubles? Rajesh asked softly after several blocks of silence. You could say that. Sometimes distance is necessary. He navigated through downtown Spokane, morning traffic light, for perspective, for healing, for remembering who you are. Thank you. My phone buzzed. Madison. I silenced it. Another buzz. Text message. I didn't read it. 15 minutes later, we pulled into the Riverside Inn parking lot, a modest mid-range hotel, clean, functional, anonymous. Exactly what I needed. The lobby smelled of coffee and industrial carpet cleaner. The clerk barely looked up as I booked 7 nights, paying with my debit card. $89 per night. Cheap compared to what I'd been spending on their lives. Rajesh helped me with my suitcase at the entrance. Thank you. I handed him $20 for a $12 ride. He studied my face for a moment. Good luck, sir. Whatever comes next. The elevator rose slowly to the 2nd floor. Room 237. Queen bed, small desk, window overlooking the parking lot. Everything I needed, nothing I didn't. I locked the door, set my suitcase on the bed, my backpack on the chair. Then I removed my jacket and carefully extracted the documents from the inner pocket. Mortgage deed, house title, 5 years of bank statements. I spread them across the bed like playing cards, each one representing a truth Madison and Brian didn't want to acknowledge. My phone showed 14 missed calls, 8 from Madison, 6 from Brian, 3 new voicemails I didn't listen to. I sat at the desk, opened my laptop. The hotel Wi-Fi was slow but functional. Banking website, login, the automatic payments page loaded. Line by line, I moved through the list. Mortgage, $2,700 next, due April 1st. Already canceled electric, $300 next, due March 20th. Cancel now. Water, sewer, $200 next, due March 25th. Cancel now. Internet, $150 next due March 18th. Cancel now. Natural gas, $180 next due March 2nd. Cancel now. Click. Confirm. Screenshot. Click. Confirm. Screenshot. Each cancellation saved to a folder on my desktop. House documentation. Evidence. Deep breath. This was real. Irreversible. My phone rang again. I glanced at the screen. Madison. Time to make one more call. I scrolled through my contacts to the bank's customer service number. 5-minute hold. Cheerful music played while I stared at the documents spread across my bed. This is Jennifer with customer service. How can I help you today? I need to verify account information. I kept my voice steady, professional. Account number ending in 4721. Security questions. Social security number. Address. Mother's maiden name. What information did you need, Mr. Miller? The mortgage account. Can you confirm the account holder? Keys clicked on her end. James Robert Miller. Sole borrower, sole owner. Is there something specific you needed? Are there any co-borrowers on this account? No, sir, just you. And the property deed, that's also solely in my name? According to our records, yes. Property at 2847 Maple Street, Spokane. Sole owner, James Robert Miller. The words I'd needed to hear made official by a disinterested third party. Thank you. That's all I needed to know. I hung up. The documents lay across the bed. Official. Binding. Proof. My phone rang again. Madison. I looked at the documents, then at the phone. This time I didn't silence it. I let it ring. The afternoon disappeared into fitful sleep and ignored phone calls. By 6 o'clock, I'd slept 4 hours, the first real rest in 2 days. My body ached from tension, but my mind felt clearer. I showered, changed into clean clothes, and went downstairs to the hotel restaurant. Simple dinner. Soup, sandwich, coffee. Fuel for what came next. Back in my room at 8, I organized the documents into neat stacks on the desk. Property deed here. Mortgage papers there. Bank statements arranged chronologically. 5 years of payments proving my claim. My phone sat beside my laptop. Robert Clark's number saved from a decade ago, back when we'd worked together at the credit union. He'd been starting his law practice then. I'd helped him navigate some financial complications. Gave him advice that probably saved his fledgling firm. He owed me nothing, but I hoped he'd remember. I dialed. 3 rings. James? Robert's voice held cautious surprise. It's been years. Is everything all right? I need legal help. Can you talk? Of course. What's going on? I told him everything. The birthday party, the nursing home brochure, Madison's entitlement, Brian's casual cruelty, the house I'd purchased, the mortgage I'd paid, the $250,000 I'd spent over 5 years, my departure this morning. Silence stretched when I finished. James, He paused. I'm so sorry. That's awful. Can you help me? Let me understand the situation. The house deed is in your name only? Solely mine. Madison never got added. Her credit was too damaged. And the mortgage? My name. Only mine. I'm the sole borrower. More silence. I heard papers rustling. Washington state law is clear on this, Robert said finally. You're the legal owner. They're essentially guests without a rental agreement. You can evict them with 30 days written notice. 30 days? Yes. Then if they don't leave voluntarily, we file formal eviction proceedings. That adds another 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the court schedule. 6 to 8 weeks total, realistically. 6 to 8 weeks. Less time than I'd lived with them each year. There's something you should know. Robert's tone shifted. This will get ugly. Family evictions always do. Madison will fight. Are you absolutely certain you want to do this? I thought about Emma's syrup-sticky hug, Ethan's confused tears, my grandchildren innocent in all of this. Then I thought about the birthday cake with its melted candles, the glossy brochure for Sunset Pines, Madison's cold dismissal. Our house now, Dad. I'm certain. All right. My fee is typically $1,500 for something like this, but given our history... He paused. $1,000. Flat rate. That includes drafting the notice, handling any court filings if necessary, and consultation through the process. That's more than fair. Thank you. Meet me tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. There's a coffee shop downtown, Morning Brew. Know it? I'll find it. Bring all your documentation, everything you've got. We'll go through it together. I hung up feeling something I hadn't felt since Friday night. Hope. But first, I needed to organize my evidence properly. I opened Excel, created a new spreadsheet, 5 years of expenses broken down by month and category, each cell filled with numbers that told a story. Mortgage $700, electric $300, water $200, internet $150, March 2020 through March 2025. 60 rows, 6 columns. Simple addition that totaled to one undeniable truth. I'd paid for everything. My fingers flew across the keyboard until past 11. When I finally saved the file and closed the laptop, my eyes burned, but my mind felt organized, prepared. I set my alarm for 7:30 and slept dreamlessly until morning. The taxi arrived at 8:45 Monday morning. I dressed carefully, button-down shirt, slacks, jacket. Professional. Serious. Morning Brew occupied a converted brick building in Spokane's downtown business district. Exposed wooden beams, the rich smell of espresso, business people with laptops at small tables. Robert sat in the corner, 2 coffees already ordered. He stood when I entered, mid-40s now, graying at the temples, wire-rimmed glasses, the same kind eyes I remembered. "James!" His handshake was firm, warm. "Good to see you. Wish it were under better circumstances." We sat. He pulled out a legal pad, pen poised. "Tell me everything again. Slowly this time. I'll need details." So I did. Every payment, every sacrifice. Eleanor's death and my promise to help Madison. The house purchase with my down payment. 5 years of covering every expense while living in a 10 by 12 room. Robert took notes, occasionally asking questions. When I finished, he sat back, studying me. "You understand what you're asking? This is your daughter, your grandchildren's home." "I understand. They'll paint you as the villain, the heartless father throwing his family onto the street. They already painted me as a freeloader, in front of 20 people, on my birthday." He nodded slowly. "Then let's discuss strategy." He explained the process, formal written notice delivered to Madison and Brian, stating they had 30 days to vacate. If they refused, we'd file for eviction through the court. Given that I was the sole owner and they had no lease agreement, no rental payment history, the court would almost certainly rule in my favor. Timeline? If we deliver notice this Friday, March 24th, they have until April 23rd to leave voluntarily. If they don't, we file the eviction petition. Court hearing typically scheduled 2 weeks out, so early May for a final court order, assuming they fight it. 2 months. It felt both impossibly long and surprisingly fast. How much will this cost? $1,000 total. That covers everything: notice drafting, court filings, representation if needed. I pulled out my checkbook, wrote the check right there, my hand steady. James Miller, $1,000, to Robert Clark, attorney at law. "I'll draft the notice today," Robert said, tucking the check into his briefcase. "You can review it tomorrow, and we'll plan delivery for Friday. Important thing, document everything. Every interaction, every phone call, every text message. Save it all." "I will." "One more thing." He leaned forward. "Be prepared for Madison to escalate. When people realize they're losing something they feel entitled to, they get desperate. Ugly. Don't engage. Don't argue. Document and walk away. Can you do that?" I thought about 40 years of being too soft, too giving, too willing to sacrifice for others' comfort. "Yes, I can do that." We shook hands again outside Morning Brew. Robert headed to his office. I walked 3 blocks to my bank branch. The marble-floored interior felt official, serious. I took a number, A47, and waited in a leather chair, watching other customers conduct their business. 15 minutes later, a teller called me over. Jennifer, according to her name tag. 30-something, efficient smile. "I need copies of all payment records for account ending in 4721, I said. 5 years' worth. Her smile flickered with curiosity, but she stayed professional. "That'll take about an hour to compile. Can you wait?" "I'll wait." Back to the leather chair. CNBC played on a mounted television. Stock prices scrolling. Financial news I didn't process. I just sat, thinking about all the times I'd stood in banks like this one, signing papers, making deposits, managing the finances Madison couldn't handle. An hour later, Jennifer returned with a thick folder, rubber-banded shut. All your payment confirmations, automatic transfers, and monthly statements. 5 years. The weight surprised me. Physical proof in my hands. Thank you so much. Big purchase coming? She was making conversation friendly. Something like that. Outside, the afternoon sun felt warmer than it should in mid-March. Spring coming early this year. I walked back to the hotel carrying evidence that weighed more than paper should. In the business center, a small room off the lobby with a printer and copier, I spent the next hour duplicating everything. 3 complete sets, original documents, locked in my hotel safe. Working copies. For Robert evidence copies. For potential court proceedings, I labeled manila folders carefully, organized chronologically, created a master index listing every document. By 1:30, I had a complete legal arsenal. My phone buzzed. Text from Robert. Notice drafted. Review tomorrow 10 a.m. my office? I replied, yes, thank you. Sitting at the small desk in my hotel room, I created one final document, a timeline. March 15th, 2025. Public humiliation at birthday party. March 16th, 2025. Departure. Payment cancellations. March 17th, 2025. Legal consultation. Evidence gathering. March 24th, 2025. Planned. Delivery of eviction notice. April 23rd, 2025. Deadline. Move out date. Every date precise. Every action documented. Every step planned. I looked at the organized folders, the timeline printed and highlighted, the evidence arranged like a legal brief. Everything was in place. The documentation, the legal representation, the plan. In 1 week, I would deliver the notice, and in 6 weeks, I would reclaim my home. Monday evening passed in quiet preparation. I organized the evidence folders one final time, ordered room service, and slept better than I had in weeks. Knowing the legal machinery was in motion brought unexpected peace. Tuesday morning, March 18th, 9 o'clock. I sat at the hotel desk, laptop open, banking website loaded. The payment management screen showed my recent cancellations, mortgage already struck through. But 4 more items remained, scheduled for the coming days. Electric bill, $300, due March 20th, 2 days away. Water and sewer, $200, due March 25. Internet service, $50, due today, March 18th. Natural gas, $180, due March 22. One by one, I clicked through each cancellation. Confirm. Yes, I'm sure. Screenshot saved. The systematic dismantling of their comfortable life, executed with precision. Each confirmation email arrived within minutes. Spokane Electric Company. Automatic payment canceled. Cascade Internet services. Payment method removed. My phone sat silent beside the laptop. No calls from Madison. She was still in denial, still believing I'd cave, still thinking this was temporary insanity from a confused old man. Let her believe it. Reality would arrive soon enough. I made coffee in the small hotel pot, watching gray clouds gather over Spokane through my window. Spring weather, unpredictable, changeable, like my life had become. Wednesday and Thursday moved slowly. I discovered freedom I'd forgotten existed. Morning walks along the Spokane River, watching water rush over rocks, no obligations pulling me back. The downtown library became a sanctuary. Quiet reading rooms, free Wi-Fi, newspapers I could actually finish without someone needing something, coffee shops where I could sit for hours observing other people's normal lives. Thursday evening, I received a text from Robert. Notice ready for Monday delivery. How are you holding up? I typed back. Surprisingly well, thank you. My old phone stayed mostly quiet. Madison hadn't called since that first day. Pride, probably. Or perhaps Brian convinced her I was bluffing, that ignoring me would make me come crawling back. They were about to learn otherwise. Friday, March 21st, 2:23 in the afternoon. My phone buzzed, screen lit up. Madison Mobile. I let it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. 4, 5, 6. Then I answered. Dad? Her voice came high-pitched, strained. Dad, I got a message from the bank. They're saying the mortgage payment is overdue. There must be some mistake. There's no mistake. Silence stretched between us. Dad, this isn't funny anymore. The bank is threatening late fees. The payment was due on the 15th, and I canceled the automatic payment on March 17th, as I told you I would. You can't. Her breath caught. You can't actually be serious. That's $2,700. How are we supposed to? That's not my problem anymore, Madison. You told me to leave. You had arrangements made. I'm living my new life now. We can't afford the mortgage, panic edged into her voice. Brian's between contracts, and my salary doesn't cover. Perhaps you should have considered that before humiliating me at my birthday party. That was Brian's idea. I was just. You stood there and watched. You agreed with every word. You handed me that brochure like you were doing me a favor. Crying now, genuine sobs. Dad, please. What about Emma and Ethan? Where will they live if we lose the house? I suggest you figure that out quickly. You have until April 1st to make the March payment. After that, the bank will add penalties. We don't have that kind of money. We bought Brian's truck last month, and we just put down a deposit for that Mexico vacation in May. The words hung in the air. A truck, a vacation, but no mortgage payment. Goodbye, Madison. Wait, Dad, don't. Brian's voice erupted through the phone. He'd grabbed it from her. Listen here, old man. You're not going to destroy my family because you're having some kind of breakdown. I've talked to people, lawyers. You can't just stop paying and keep the house. That's not how it works. Actually, Brian, that's exactly how it works when your name is on the deed and theirs isn't. We'll sue. We'll take you to court. You'll lose everything. My lawyer is waiting for exactly that. Robert Clark. Feel free to have your lawyer contact him, though I doubt you can afford one, given that you can't afford your own mortgage. I hung up. My hand trembled slightly, not from fear, from adrenaline. The phone rang again immediately. I blocked both numbers. 30 seconds later, it rang again. Unknown number. Madison, calling from somewhere else. I let it go to voicemail, then another call. Another unknown number, another voicemail. By 6 o'clock Friday evening, I had 8 new voicemails. I didn't listen to any of them yet. Too raw, too fresh. Tomorrow I'd review them, document them, add them to the evidence file. Saturday brought the onslaught. The phone rang at 8:15 in the morning, 10:42, 2:20, 6:55. Every few hours, different numbers each time. Madison must have been calling from friends' phones, desperate to get through. Text messages arrived between calls. Photos appeared on my screen that made my chest tighten. Emma holding a drawing. Crayon letters spelled, "I miss Grandpa," in uneven blue script. Her face looked tear-stained, confused. Another photo. Ethan crying, small hands reaching toward the camera. Madison's text. "Look what you're doing to them." I walked to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, looked at myself in the mirror. Aged eyes, lines deepened by stress, but also something new. Resolve. This was the hardest part. The children didn't understand. They couldn't understand adult consequences, adult choices, adult cruelty. But if I gave in now, what would I teach them? That manipulation works. That treating people terribly has no consequences as long as you cry afterward. Better they learn now that even love has limits. I saved the photos anyway. Evidence of Madison's manipulation tactics. Then I blocked those numbers too. Saturday evening at 7, I called Robert. "They're escalating," I told him. 50 calls over 2 days, threatening messages, photos of the grandchildren. "Document everything," Robert said calmly. "Save voicemails, screenshot texts, note timestamps. If Brian shows up at your hotel, call 911 immediately. Don't engage with him. He mentioned knowing where I'm staying. Spokane's not that big. There are only so many hotels in your price range. He probably called around. Still, be aware. Lock your door. Chain engaged. If you feel threatened, call police first, me second." "I will." "One more day, James. Monday we deliver the notice. Then the countdown begins." After hanging up, I finally listened to the accumulated voicemails. 47 total messages. I sampled them, documenting the pattern. Message 1, Friday, 8:15. A.M., Madison's voice, apologetic. "Dad, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Please call me back so we can talk about this." Message 12, Friday, 2:40 p.m. Anger replacing apology. "You're being incredibly selfish. Think about someone other than yourself for once." Message 23, Saturday, 11:15. A.M., back to begging. "Please, Dad, the kids are asking for you. Emma cries every night. Ethan doesn't understand." Message 39, Saturday, 6:20 p.m. Brian's voice, aggressive. "You're going to regret this, James. I have friends in this town, people who know people. You're making a mistake." I created a detailed log: date, time, caller, content summary, threat level. Everything organized, everything documented. By Sunday morning, March 23rd, I'd received a new voicemail. Brian's voice, different tone, calculated, menacing. "I know where you're staying, James. Riverside Inn, right? Room 237. Small town, Spokane. People talk. Just wanted you to know. I know exactly where to find you." My concern was real but measured. How had he found my specific room number? Had he bribed hotel staff? Followed Rajesh? Called pretending to be family? It didn't matter. What mattered was the threat. I stood at my hotel window, looking down at the parking lot, checking door locks, chain engaged, security latch fastened. A text to Robert. "Brian knows hotel location and room number. Latest voicemail contains implicit threat." His reply came immediately. "Document. If he shows up, call police immediately. Do not confront." I watched the parking lot as afternoon shadows lengthened. Cars came and went, none of them Brian's truck. One more day before the official notice. One more day of relative peace. Then everything would accelerate. By 10 o'clock Sunday morning, I was in Robert's office downtown. The professional building stood quiet on weekends. Just a few dedicated lawyers working, preparing for Monday battles. Robert met me at the entrance, concern evident in his expression. Brian's threat? Recorded, saved, time-stamped. I followed him upstairs to his third-floor office. The space reflected his personality. Organized, professional, understated. Law books lined one wall. A neat desk held 2 monitors and a stack of case files. Framed credentials hung beside a window overlooking downtown Spokane. The eviction notice sat centered on his desk, printed on official letterhead. I sat across from him, the document between us like a declaration of war. "Before we finalize this," Robert said, sliding the papers toward me, "I need you to understand what you're doing. This isn't just canceling payments. This is forcing your daughter and her family out of their home, your grandchildren's home. I understand. There's no going back after this. Once delivered, it's official, legal, binding." "I know." He studied my face, searching for doubt. Finding none, he nodded. "Then let's review it together." The notice was 2 pages, dense with legal language. But certain phrases stood out, bold and unmistakable. Notice to vacate premises. Property address, 2847, Maple Street, Spokane, WA 99921. 2. Madison Miller Thompson and Brian Thompson. You are hereby notified that you must vacate the above-referenced property within 30 days of receipt of this notice. The property owner, James Robert Miller, sole legal owner as recorded with Spokane County, requires possession of the property. The deadline, April 23, 2025. The consequences. Failure to vacate will result in judicial eviction proceedings through Spokane County Superior Court. The signature line, James Robert Miller, property owner. Everything here is legally precise, Robert explained. Washington state law requires 30 days' notice for residents without a lease agreement. They have no lease. They pay no rent. Legally, they're guests who've overstayed their welcome. What if they refuse to leave? Then we file for formal eviction with the court. Takes another 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the schedule. But given that you're the sole owner, you've documented 5 years of payments, and they have no legal claim to the property. He tapped the thick evidence folder I'd brought. The judge will rule in your favor. How quickly? With this level of documentation, 1 hearing, maybe 90 minutes. Then the sheriff enforces the eviction order. A knock interrupted us. Lindsay Baker, the notary, entered, a professional woman in her 50s, carrying her official stamp and record book. The notarization process was brief but ceremonial. ID verification, signature witness, the heavy thunk of the official seal on paper. It was done. Legal, irreversible. "Personal delivery or certified mail?" Robert asked. "Personal. I want to see her face when she reads it." "That's brave. Or foolish." He sealed the notice in an official envelope. "She'll react badly. Brian might get physical. Are you sure?" I thought about the birthday party, the brochure, the casual dismissal of 30 years of sacrifice. "I'm sure." Monday morning, March 24th, 7 o'clock. I stood in the hotel bathroom preparing for battle. Clean slacks, pressed shirt, jacket, presenting authority, competence, finality. Breakfast tasted like cardboard, coffee was all I could manage. The notice envelope sat on the desk, official and heavy with consequence. My phone, today's the day. Robert's reply, call me after. Be safe. The taxi arrived at 9:30. Rajesh, again, fate or coincidence, I wasn't sure. Big day, sir? Very big. 25 minutes through Spokane, past the park where I'd pushed Emma on swings, past the grocery store where I'd shopped every Saturday, past the life I'd lived for 5 years. The house appeared unchanged from outside, same blue siding, same maple tree in front. But small signs of stress showed, lawn slightly overgrown, newspapers accumulating by the door, a general air of neglect. Wait here, please, I told Rajesh. This might go badly. He nodded, understanding. I walked to the door, envelope in hand. Each step felt weighted with history. The doorbell rang loud in the morning quiet. 30 seconds of waiting. Then footsteps. Brian opened the door, unshaven, angry before he even saw who it was. What do you want? I need to see Madison. Official business. He blocked the doorway, arms crossed. She doesn't want to talk to you. This isn't a conversation, it's a delivery. Madison appeared behind him, hair unbrushed, wearing a bathrobe. Dad, what are you? I held up the envelope, official letterhead visible through the window. She took it with trembling fingers, opened it slowly, unfolded the document. I watched comprehension dawn on her face as she read. Her mouth opened slightly. Eyes widened, color drained from her cheeks. Notice to vacate, she whispered. 30 days, April 23rd. Brian grabbed the paper. What is this? Some kind of joke? It's completely legal, I said evenly. I'm the sole property owner. Your residence without a lease. Washington state law requires 30 days written notice. Madison's voice came out strangled. You can't. This isn't legal. You can't just throw us out. I can, and I am. You have 30 days to find other housing. April 23rd? She looked up from the paper, tears starting. That's barely a month. 30 days is the legal requirement. I suggest you start looking for apartments today. Brian stepped forward, aggressive. We'll fight this. We'll take you to court. You'll lose. My lawyer's waiting for that. I produced Robert's business card, held it out. Robert Clark, Clark and Associates. Have your attorney contact him. You'll find I have documentation of every mortgage payment, every utility bill, every expense for the past 5 years. All in my name, all from my account. The card hung in the air between us. Neither took it. I set it on the doorframe. Madison collapsed against the wall, sliding down slightly. Where will we go? What about Emma and Ethan? Their school, their friends? Those are questions you'll need to answer. My voice stayed level despite the pain in my chest. You made your choice on March 15th. This is the consequence. Brian's fists clenched. You're making a huge mistake, old man. You don't know who you're messing with. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I have documentation, legal representation, and the full support of Washington state law. I stepped back from the doorway. 30 days, April 23rd. Have a good day. I turned and walked back to the taxi. Behind me, Madison's voice rose. Dad, wait. You can't. I didn't look back. Reached the taxi, got in, closed the door. Where to, sir? Rajesh's eyes showed sympathy. Back to the hotel, please. As we pulled away, I saw Madison standing in the driveway, still clutching the notice. Brian beside her, both of them frozen in disbelief. The house, my house, receded in the rear window. My hands trembled in my lap. Adrenaline crash, immediate and overwhelming. You okay? Rajesh asked gently. I will be. Back at the hotel by 10:45, I went straight to my room and called Robert. It's done. Notice delivered at 10 o'clock this morning. How did they react? Shock, disbelief. Brian made threats. Madison cried. Neither of them thinks I'm serious yet. They will. Robert's voice carried experience. Reality usually hits around day 3. Then comes desperation, then anger. Be prepared for the next phase. What are the chances they leave voluntarily? Honestly, 10%? Maybe. Most people fight until the sheriff arrives, but you've done everything correctly. The law is on your side. Thank you, Robert. Call me if anything escalates, anything at all. I sat in my hotel room, copy of the notice in my hands, reading it again, feeling the weight of what I'd done. April 21st, 2025. 4 weeks away. 2 o'clock that afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Madison's voice came different this time, not crying, cold. Dad, I've called a lawyer. He says you can't do this, that we have tenant rights. Then have him call my lawyer, Robert Clark. We're not leaving. You understand that? You'll have to drag us out. If necessary, the Spokane County Sheriff will do exactly that on April 24th. You're going to regret this. Her voice shook with rage now, not tears. When Emma and Ethan ask why Grandpa threw them out of their home, what am I supposed to tell them? The question hit like a knife, but I'd prepared for it. Tell them the truth, that actions have consequences, that treating people with cruelty has a price, and that sometimes even people who love you have to say no. She hung up without another word. The phone rang again immediately. Unknown number. I silenced it. Let the calls come. Let the threats pile up. Let the desperation mount. I had the law on my side now. Everything else was just noise. 6 hours since I'd handed Madison the notice. Already my phone was vibrating with incoming calls. Unknown number. Unknown number. Unknown number. Each one Madison using different phones. Friends, neighbors, maybe random strangers she'd convinced to dial for her. I answered the first 3. Same conversation every time, begging, threatening, crying. By the 4th call, I stopped answering. Just let them roll to voicemail. By 11 o'clock Monday night, I had 15 new messages. Room service dinner arrived while the phone buzzed on the nightstand. I ate mechanically, tasting nothing, watching the screen light up every few minutes. At 10, I checked the first few voicemails. Message 1, 6:18 p.m. Dad, please pick up. I know you're angry, but we can work this out. Just call me back, please. Message 3, 8:42 p.m. This is ridiculous. You can't throw your own family onto the street. What kind of person does that? Message 7, 10:15 p.m. Madison crying. Emma asked about you tonight. She wanted to call you. I didn't know what to tell her. How could you do this to them? I couldn't listen to more. Not tonight. I turned the phone to silent mode, screen facing down. But even silenced, I saw the reflected glow every time it lit up with another call. Sleep came in fragments, 20-minute intervals broken by awareness of the phone's persistent illumination. Tuesday morning, March 25th, 7 o'clock. 23 missed calls, 31 text messages. I made coffee with shaking hands, opened the text messages chronologically. Most were variations on the voicemails. But then at 6:47 a.m., an MMS notification appeared. I opened it. Emma's face filled the screen, holding a drawing, crude crayon letters spelling, "I miss Grandpa," in uneven blue script. Her face looked tear-stained, her eyes red and confused. A second photo followed. Ethan crying, small hands reaching toward the camera as if trying to reach through it. Madison's text, "Look what you're doing to them." My chest constricted. I sat heavily on the bed's edge, phone in trembling hands. This was the weapon I'd known would come, the one that hurt most. Children weaponized against their grandfather. I walked to the bathroom, turned on cold water, splashed my face, looked at myself in the mirror. The pain was real, undeniable. Emma and Ethan didn't deserve this confusion, this hurt. But if I gave in now, what would I teach them? That manipulation succeeds. That adults can treat you terribly as long as they apologize afterward. That love means accepting abuse. No. Better they learn now that boundaries exist, that consequences are real, that even people who love you won't tolerate disrespect. I saved the photos anyway, more evidence of Madison's tactics. Then blocked those numbers. The calls continued all day. Different numbers, relentless frequency. I stopped trying to answer, stopped checking voicemails immediately. By afternoon, I needed air. Walked to Riverfront Park, phone vibrating constantly in my pocket. Other people on the path noticed, the persistent buzzing, my hand unconsciously reaching to silence it. An elderly woman on a bench gave me a sympathetic look. Persistent caller? You could say that. Sometimes the phone off button is the kindest thing for everyone. I almost laughed. Almost. Back at the hotel by 4, exhausted from doing nothing but walking. The voicemail count had reached 39. I forced myself to listen, documenting each one in my growing log. Message 10, Tuesday, 11:48 a.m. You selfish bastard, after everything we've done for you, giving you a place to live, feeding you, and this is how you repay us? Everything they'd done? The irony would be funny if it wasn't so painful. Message 15, Tuesday, 7:35 p.m. Brian's voice. I'm telling you right now, old man, you don't want to mess with me. I have connections. People who owe me favors. This isn't over. Vague threats. Technically not illegal, but definitely intimidating. Message 23, Tuesday, 6:10 p.m. Madison again, voice cracking. Mom would be so disappointed in you. She'd want you to help us, to support your family. You're betraying her memory. Using Eleanor. Using my dead wife to manipulate me. That one almost worked. Almost. Wednesday, March 26th, 7:30 in the morning. A voicemail from Brian left overnight. Hey James, just wanted you to know. I know where you're staying. Riverside Inn, right? Not hard to figure out. Small town. People talk. So maybe think about that next time you ignore Madison's calls. My hand tightened on the phone. How had he confirmed it? Spokane had dozens of hotels. Had he called them all? Bribed someone? Followed Rajesh? The method didn't matter. The implication was clear. I'm watching. I know where you sleep. I can find you. By noon, a second voicemail from Brian arrived. Talk to a lawyer friend. Real lawyer, not whatever hack you hired. He says we have tenant rights. Adverse possession can't just throw us out. So enjoy your little hotel vacation while it lasts. When this is over, you'll be lucky if we don't sue you for everything. Bluffing. He had to be bluffing. But doubt crept in anyway. I called Robert at 6 that evening. They're escalating, 50-plus calls. Brian's making threats. Knows my hotel. Mentions physical harm indirectly. Madison sent photos of the grandchildren crying. Document everything, Robert said, his calm voice steadying me. Screenshot texts, save voicemails, log times, and content. If Brian shows up at your hotel, don't engage. Call 911 immediately. He mentioned lawyers, said they have tenant rights. They don't. They pay no rent. They have no lease. They're guests who've overstayed. Brian's grasping at legal-sounding words without understanding what they mean. What if he comes here? Then he's trespassing and harassing you. That's when police get involved. Keep your door locked. Chain engaged. Don't open it if he shows up. Call authorities first. Me second. After hanging up, I felt marginally better. But the threat lingered. Thursday morning, March 27th. 9 o'clock. I walked to an electronics store downtown. Purchased a basic smartphone and prepaid plan. $40 for the phone, $30 for a month of service. 2 phones. Simple strategy. Old phone. Continues receiving their harassment, building evidence. New phone. Clean slate, only critical contacts. I transferred Robert's number, Sarah's number, the hotel's front desk. 3 contacts total. Back at the hotel, I set the old phone on the desk, plugged in, ringer off. The screen lit up every few minutes. 12 calls that morning already, like watching enemy fire that couldn't touch me anymore. The new phone sat silent in my pocket. Peaceful. Mine. I texted Robert from the new number, got secure line, old number still documenting their calls. His reply, smart, save everything. That afternoon, I finally reviewed the accumulated voicemails, 47 total across 3 days. The pattern was clear. Morning messages, pleading, apologetic. Please, Dad, let's talk about this. Afternoon messages, angry, accusatory. How dare you abandon your family? Evening messages, manipulative, guilt-focused. The children are suffering because of you. Madison's emotional cycle playing out in recorded segments. Brian's messages stayed consistently threatening. No variation, no vulnerability, just aggression. I created a summary document, Harassment Pattern Analysis, March 24th, 27. For Robert, for potential police reports. For court, if necessary. By Thursday evening, I sat at the hotel desk with 2 phones side by side. Old phone, 12 new notifications visible on the lock screen. New phone, silent, showing only the time. Document folders stacked beside the laptop. Harassment logs, voicemail transcripts, screenshot evidence. The eviction notice copy. April 23rd, 2025. Still 27 days away. They thought wearing me down would work. Thought constant pressure would break my resolve. Thought using Emma and Ethan would shatter my determination. They were wrong. Every call, every threat, every manipulation just proved I'd made the right choice. I looked at the grandchildren's photos one more time. The pain was real. Emma's confused face, Ethan's tears. They hurt more than anything Madison or Brian could say. But giving in wouldn't help them. It would teach them that love means accepting mistreatment. That family means no boundaries. That manipulation is an acceptable tool. Better they learn now, while young, that even people who love you have limits. I opened my new phone, texted Robert. Documented 3 days of harassment, 50-plus calls, multiple threats, all saved. His reply came immediately. Excellent. This strengthens our position, if needed. I closed the laptop, set both phones aside, looked out the window at Spokane's evening lights. 3 days down, 27 to go, and I wasn't going anywhere. Friday morning, I made a decision. As property owner, I had the legal right to inspect the house, to see its condition, to ensure Madison and Brian weren't damaging what was legally mine. I called Robert at 9. I want to go to the house today. Can you come with me? A pause. That's bold. You sure about this? I need to see it. See what they've done to my room. Give me an hour. I'll meet you there at 2. The drive took 25 minutes. I parked across the street at 150, giving them privacy to finish whatever they were doing. Robert arrived separately, parking his sedan behind my car. At exactly 2 o'clock, we crossed the street together. The house looked worn. Newspapers piled on the porch. 3 days' worth at least. The lawn needed mowing. Small signs of stress, of systems breaking down without me maintaining them. My key still worked in the lock. They hadn't changed it. Couldn't afford to, probably. The door swung open. Stale air hit me first. Unwashed dishes. Stress sweat. Desperation. Then visual chaos. Living room cluttered with laundry piles. Dirty plates scattered across the coffee table. Garbage bags stacked by the door. This was how they lived without me. Madison appeared from the kitchen, freezing mid-step when she saw us. Dad, what are you... You can't just walk in here. This is my property. I stepped fully inside, Robert behind me. I have every legal right to inspect it. Brian thundered down the stairs, unshaven, wearing sweatpants. This is trespassing. Get out! Robert's voice stayed professional, calm. Mr. Thompson, as sole property owner, Mr. Miller has the right to enter and inspect his property at any time. If you interfere, that becomes obstruction. I walked through the living room, seeing damage they'd caused. Scratches on the hardwood floor, something heavy dragged without pads. Water stains on the ceiling corner. Leak they'd ignored. The kitchen was worse. Sink overflowing with dishes. Garbage bin uncovered and reeking. Grease splattered on the stove I'd kept spotless for 5 years. I see how you care for your property, I said quietly. Madison's voice came defensive, sharp. We haven't had money for repairs. You cut off everything. I paid for everything. For 5 years. Every repair, every upgrade, every maintenance cost. She had no response. I moved toward the stairs. Brian blocked my path, chest puffed out. Where do you think you're going? Upstairs. To see my room. The hell you are. Robert stepped between us smoothly. Mr. Thompson, step aside, or this becomes a legal issue you don't want. Obstruction of property owner rights is actionable. Brian's jaw worked, fists clenching, but he moved aside, muttering threats under his breath. I climbed the stairs slowly, each step bringing me closer to something I dreaded seeing. My bedroom door stood open. I entered. Complete transformation. Brian's gaming paradise, massive desk with 3 monitors, RGB lighting strips glowing purple along the edges, gaming chair where my modest bed had been. Posters covered the walls, video game characters, sports teams. My 5 years erased in 2 weeks. The closet stood empty. Bare hangers swayed slightly in air current from the vent. Where are my things? Madison's voice came from the doorway, small. Garage, in boxes. I walked to the window, my window where I'd watched seasons change for 5 years. Now Brian's view. A photo sat on the desk. Madison, Brian, Emma, Ethan. Family picture from last Christmas. I'd taken that photo, but I wasn't in it. Cropped out, erased. My chest tightened. 5 years I'd lived in this room. Gone like I'd never existed. Get out of my room! Brian appeared behind Madison, aggressive again now that Robert was downstairs. I turned slowly. This was my room, Brian. For 5 years. You turned it into your playground in 2 weeks. Well, it's mine now, so get... His hand shoved my shoulder. Not hard, but contact. I stumbled back one step, catching myself on the desk. Robert's voice came sharp from the stairs. "Mr. Thompson, that's assault. Touch him again, and I'm calling the police." Brian's hand dropped, but his glare stayed fixed on me. I took one last look around, memorizing every detail of my erasure. This was who they were. This was what they thought of me. I walked past them, descending the stairs with as much dignity as I could gather. In the living room, I paused. Photos of Emma and Ethan sat on the mantel, smiling faces in cheap frames. They didn't deserve this chaos, this upheaval, but they needed to learn that actions have consequences. Even second-hand lessons counted. Madison followed me down, tears streaming now. "Where will we go, Dad? We have 1 week left and nowhere to go. You had 5 years to save money, to build something. You chose trucks and vacations instead. I was a good daughter. I gave you a place to live. You gave me a 10 by 12 room and expected me to be grateful while I funded your entire existence." Brian moved to stand beside her, protective but quieter now. "You're destroying your family, your grandkids. What kind of father does this? The kind who finally learned to say no." Madison's voice turned desperate, manipulative. "When people hear about this, throwing your family out, your reputation will be destroyed." I almost laughed. "Tell anyone you want. I don't care. I'll tell them the truth, that you publicly humiliated me, tried to send me to a nursing home, and treated me like a burden after I gave you everything. Let them judge." Robert touched my arm gently. "We should go, James." I nodded. But before leaving, I took one last look around the house I'd maintained. Improved. Loved. Each room held memories now overlaid with current mess. Playing with Emma in that corner, teaching Ethan to tie his shoes by that chair, cooking family dinners in that kitchen. All of it gone now, replaced with dysfunction and decay. My hand found the doorknob. Behind me, Madison's voice came broken. "I hate you." I paused, didn't turn around. "I know." I opened the door, stepped out, closed it behind me with finality. Robert walked beside me to his car. That was hard. "You okay?" "No." I opened the passenger door, but it was necessary. He drove me back to my hotel. I watched the house disappear in the side mirror. 3.5 weeks, 26 days until April 23rd. Then it would truly be mine again, if I could last that long. The next 2.5 weeks crawled by in tense silence. I settled into a rhythm at the Riverside Inn. Morning walks, afternoon reading, evening calls with Robert. Madison didn't contact me. No more harassment, no more manipulation, just quiet. But I knew what that silence meant. She was searching. I learned later, much later, after everything, the details of those weeks. 5 real estate agencies, everyone rejecting her application. Credit score 580, still damaged from her first husband's bankruptcy 7 years ago. Income barely adequate. References questionable after friends learned about our conflict. Apartment after apartment. "We require a credit score of 620 or higher. Your income needs to be 3 times the rent. I'm sorry, but we've decided to go with another applicant." Each door closing, each option vanishing. By April 15th, 1 week until the deadline, she'd exhausted every possibility. That Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. Madison's number. I stared at the screen for 6 rings before answering. "Hello?" "Dad." Her voice sounded different, deflated, defeated. "Can we talk, please?" "I'm listening." A long pause. Background noise. Emma and Ethan arguing about something. Brian's voice telling them to be quiet. What if we paid you rent? To stay in the house? We could work out a payment plan, something reasonable." "The mortgage is $2,700, plus utilities, that's $3,000 a month." "We can't afford $3,000. Almost a whisper. "I know. So this isn't really about money, is it? This is about respect, about dignity, about you treating me like a human being worthy of basic decency. I'm sorry." She was crying now. "I'm so sorry, Dad. I was wrong. Brian was wrong. We were terrible to you, and I see that now. I do." "Madison, you're 36 years old enough to own your choices. You chose cruelty at my birthday party. You chose to dismiss 5 years of sacrifice. Those were your decisions, not Brian's. But the kids. Emma asks about you every night. Ethan still doesn't understand why you left. What am I supposed to tell them?" The knife twisted. "Emma, Ethan, Tell them the truth, that Grandpa needed to be treated with respect, that adults have boundaries, that actions have consequences. Please, Dad, one more chance. Let us stay and pay rent. We'll do better, I promise. No. The word landed absolute. Final. April 23rd. That deadline stands. You need to find somewhere else. There is nowhere else. Don't you understand? We've tried everything. Then you should have tried harder 5 years ago, while I was paying for your life. I hung up, set the phone down with trembling hands. Part of me wanted to say yes, the part that remembered her as a little girl, gap-toothed and trusting. But that little girl had grown into a woman who publicly humiliated her father without hesitation. The phone rang again. I silenced it. Robert called 30 seconds later. She just tried you. Yes, wanted to pay rent to stay. And? I said no. Good. Boundaries matter, James, especially with family, especially when they've been violated this badly. After hanging up, I sat on the hotel bed, staring at nothing. 8 days left. I learned later, again after everything settled, what happened next. April 20th, Sunday evening. Madison and Brian in their bedroom, Emma and Ethan asleep down the hall. I found an apartment, Brian said. $1,800 a month. 2-bedroom. Not great, but available. Madison looked at the listing on his phone. We can't afford $1,800. After bills, we have $1,200 left. I know. They sat in silence, mathematics of impossibility spreading between them. Dad was right, Madison finally said. About the truck, about the vacation. We should have been saving. Don't. Brian's voice came sharp. Don't defend him. He's throwing us out. Because we threw him out first. Because I handed him that brochure at his birthday party in front of everyone like he was garbage. She was crying again. This is my fault, not yours. Mine. I didn't know this conversation happened until she told me months later. But apparently that was the moment, when she finally accepted responsibility. Finally understood. Too late, of course, but at least she understood. April 21st, Monday, Robert called with an update. Rental truck's been reserved, confirmed for Wednesday pickup. They're preparing to move. Voluntarily? Seems that way. No indication they're planning to fight. Relief mixed with something heavier. This was really happening. I spent Monday and Tuesday preparing, calling utilities to restore service starting April 24th, scheduling mortgage payment resumption for May 1st, making lists of furniture I'd need to buy. Practical preparations while my insides churned with anticipation and dread. Tuesday evening, Sarah Johnson called, first time since March 16th. James, it's Sarah. I heard they're moving out Wednesday. Yes. Are you okay? I don't know yet. Ask me Thursday. I'll be here. Coffee and company whenever you're ready. Thank you, Sarah. That means more than you know. You did the right thing. I hope you know that. I hope so, too. Tuesday night, April 22nd, eve of eviction. I lay in the hotel bed, eyes open, watching shadows from passing cars slide across the ceiling. Tomorrow I would reclaim my home. Tomorrow the 5-year chapter would close. Tomorrow I would face whatever came next. But tonight I could only wait. My phone sat on the nightstand. Madison's contact information still saved, even after everything. Temptation pulled at me. Call her, check if she's okay, offer help. No. I'd drawn the line. Crossed it back now would teach nothing, fix nothing, change nothing. The calendar on my desk showed April 23rd, circled, underlined. 2 p.m. Final walkthrough. Written beneath. I set my alarm for 7 a.m. Closed my eyes. Didn't sleep. Tomorrow, everything would change. I woke to my alarm at 7, though I'd barely slept. Hotel room light filtered gray through curtains. My packed bags sat by the door, 1 suitcase, 1 backpack, everything I'd lived with for 6 weeks compressed into 2 containers. Shower. Hot water trying to wash away exhaustion. Dressing in clean clothes. Not celebration, just dignity. Breakfast in the hotel lobby where other guests chatted about normal things while my life pivoted. 9 o'clock. Checkout. Hope you enjoyed your stay, Mr. Miller, the desk clerk said, processing my final bill. It served its purpose. I handed back the room key. Thank you. My car held my belongings easily. 6 weeks reduced to 3 bags. Too early to go to the house. I drove to the library, sat in a quiet corner with a book I couldn't focus on, watching the clock crawl toward afternoon. 10, 11, noon, 1. At 1:30 I gave up pretending to read and drove toward my house. 1:50 p.m. I parked across the street, engine off, watching. A rental truck sat in the driveway, white, boxy, generic. Brian loaded boxes with mechanical efficiency. Madison carried smaller items, movement slow and defeated. Then I saw them, Emma and Ethan in the truck's cab, faces pressed against the window, watching their world dismantle. My heart clenched. Emma, my sweet Emma. Robert pulled up behind me. We waited together until 2:10, giving them extra minutes to finish. Finally, I stepped out of my car, Robert beside me. We walked across the street. Brian saw us first, his body stiffening, but no aggression this time, just weariness. Madison set down the box she was carrying, saw me, started walking toward us. We met in the driveway, her hand extended, keys dangling, house keys, the ones I'd given her 5 years ago. Here. Her voice came barely above whisper. I took them, cool metal against my palm, weight of everything they represented. I'm sorry, Dad. She looked directly at me, eyes red but clear, for all of it. The party, the brochure, everything. I was cruel. I was wrong. And I'm sorry. I know. Can you... She swallowed hard. Can you ever forgive me? I wanted to say yes. Wanted to make this easy for both of us. I don't know. Not now. Maybe someday. But not now. She nodded, accepting. The kids. Can they see you sometimes? When things settle? Emma's face in the truck window. Ethan beside her. Both watching. Maybe. In time. When I'm ready. When they can understand what happened and why. Thank you. She turned to go, then stopped. The mortgage. The bills? How long can you... That's not your concern anymore, Madison. Understanding crossed her face. Final severing. She was truly on her own now. Brian called from the truck. Maddie, we need to go. She looked at me one last time. Goodbye, Dad. Goodbye. I watched her climb into the truck. The engine started. Loud diesel rumble filling the quiet street. The truck pulled away slowly. Emma's small hand pressed against the window, waving. My throat closed. I didn't wave back. Couldn't. The truck turned the corner. Disappeared. Gone. Robert touched my shoulder. You want company for the walkthrough? No. I need to do this alone. Call if you need anything. He squeezed once. You did the right thing, James. Remember that. He left, his car pulling away, leaving me standing alone in my driveway. I walked to the front door, put the key in the lock, turned it. The door opened. My house. Empty. Echoing. Mine. The smell hit first. Cleaner than during my last visit. They'd scrubbed before leaving at least. Living room bare where their furniture had been. My old chair remained, pushed against the wall. They hadn't wanted it. Kitchen cleaner, too. Counters wiped down. Some scratches visible, but overall maintained better than I'd expected. I climbed the stairs, each step familiar. My former bedroom door stood open. Empty now. Brian's gaming setup gone. Just bare walls, beige carpet, closet with those swaying hangers. I walked to the center of the room and sat on the floor. No furniture yet. Just me and empty space. 5 years ago, I'd moved into this room to help my daughter. Today, I reclaimed it from her. Full circle. Complete. Looking out the window, my view restored. Spring trees budding outside. Life continuing regardless of human drama. And then the tears came. Not joy, grief, for the relationship lost. For the daughter I'd raised who'd become someone I barely recognized. For the grandchildren I'd have to rebuild connection with slowly, carefully, if ever, for the cost of justice. I let myself cry, alone, safe, finally able to release what I'd held together for 6 weeks. The next 3 days blurred together in activity. Thursday, utilities restored. Lights, water, internet flowing again. Deep cleaning every room. Garage full of my boxes. The belongings they'd stored when converting my room. Unpacking slowly, deliberately. Friday, furniture shopping. Modest pieces within my pension budget. Bed, couch, kitchen table. Delivery scheduled for Saturday morning. Saturday, the delivery men were cheerful, professional. Helped me position everything just right. The house began feeling like home again. Sarah visited that evening, bringing casserole and company. "Tell me everything," she said, settling onto my new couch. So I did. The whole story from birthday party to eviction day. "You were braver than I could have been," she said finally. "There were moments I almost quit, almost called her and said, 'Forget it, come back.' But you didn't. No, because giving in would have taught Emma and Ethan that manipulation works, that disrespect has no consequences. Better they learn the hard lesson now. You reclaimed more than a house," Sarah said quietly. "You reclaimed your dignity?" She left around 9. "Dinner next week? My place? I'd like that." Monday morning, April 28th, 7 o'clock. I stood on my front porch, coffee mug warming my hands, watching sunrise paint the sky orange and gold, neighborhood waking around me, cars backing out of driveways, people heading to work, normal life, my life now. The house behind me stood quiet, empty still, sparsely furnished, but mine. Completely, legally, finally mine. "Eleanor," I thought, "wherever you are." I did it. I kept my promise to take care of Madison, just not the way either of us expected. Sometimes taking care of someone means letting them face consequences. The coffee tasted better than it had in months. Simple pleasure, earned through 6 weeks of battle. Madison was out there somewhere, in an apartment she could barely afford, figuring out how to rebuild without me supporting her, learning independence at 36. Late, but not too late. Emma and Ethan would be confused, hurt, asking questions. Someday when they were older, maybe they'd understand. Maybe we could rebuild what was broken? Maybe not. But I'd reclaimed something more important than relationships. I'd reclaimed respect, my own respect for myself, the understanding that I deserved to be treated with dignity, that 5 years of sacrifice didn't obligate me to accept cruelty. This house was mine again, but more importantly, I was mine again, and that made everything worth it. If you liked this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.